Welcome, welcome, welcome. And for the people in the cheap seats, I'll say it again. Welcome to the Remember When podcast. I am your host, J.U. Kulkrick. Alongside me, as always, the Stanford grad, the sports law professor, the legal analyst, Deb. How's it going, Deb?
It's going good today, J.O.
Every day is a good day. Just keep stacking good days.
I am looking forward to tonight.
Yes, definitely.
Looking forward to tonight. We
have a great guest on. So we'll get to know him a little bit. But before we jump into things, let's pay some bills. The Remember When podcast is powered by Taguava Coffee. Taguava, they have a great model, farm to cup. They track exactly when the beans planted, grown, and shipped over from the farm to your cup. Taguava Coffee. Every order that's placed, a percentage of that order gets sent back in the form of water filters to give these villages and communities clean drinking water. Some things that we take for granted, such as clean water, other people don't have access to, and Taguava's doing a great job for that.
Yep.
Promo code? Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. Go to www.taguava.com and use the promo code Remember When at checkout, and you're going to get 10% off your order. And what's better than that, Deb? What's better than the 10% off?
Free shipping.
Yes.
10% off and free shipping for Taguava Coffee. Really good stuff.
Definitely. Can't beat it. Taguava Coffee, www.taguava.com. Use the promo code Remember When at checkout to get 10% off your order. All right, Deb, I'm excited for the show. I want to run into our top 10, 5 and 5. The year that we chose today is 2003. The reason we chose 2003 because our guest, he's in an elite group. All right. That's the year that he won a Super Bowl with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Lomas Brown is going to be joining us later today, but 2003 is the year they won the Super Bowl. We're going to get into that. Great stories from the Super Bowl, great stories about his career, his start to football, to where he's at now and what he's doing a lot of good things in the community. Lomas was a hell of a football player, all-pro guy, but the thing about him is he's an even better dude off the field. And when you talk to him, you're going to get that sense from it. Deb, you've known him a lot longer than I've known him. So we're excited about having him on.
Yeah, I am so excited because Lomas you're exactly right. He's a better dude than he was a football player. And he was a hell of a football player.
Yeah, yes, definitely was. Hey, so let's jump into it.
Okay, I am ready.
Okay, I'll go first. All right.
Okay.
2003. Well, this guy was in the media all along, Johnny Depp, Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of Black Pearl debuted in 2003.
Amazingly, he is still in the media. Okay, I'm going to go with one that's near and dear to my heart. Tesla was founded in 2003.
Ooh, very nice.
Yeah, I had a Tesla for a few years here, so.
Well, I got both my cousins now. They got to come and talk to you because they both want Teslas. So.
Oh yeah, great car.
I told them I'll point them in the right direction. I'm still old school. I'm in the gasoline industry. All right. So this one is near and dear to me. Because when I went on spring break, this song was the most popular song out there. And we were in Acapulco, Mexico. And I had a tank top on. And it was back when I played at Michigan State. I had some muscles then. They thought I was this artist. So in the Mexican restaurant, they played the song over and over on the big screen, and all the servers came out to me. We got free drinks, free food. They chauffeured us back to our hotel in the model expedition that was sitting out in front of the restaurant. This song was the number one song in 2003. 50 Cent in the Club.
Oh boy. And you got drinks and a tank top.
I got free drinks because of 50 Cent, because they thought I was 50 Cent in Mexico.
Okay. I'm gonna go a little nerdy here, a little bit nerdy, because I'm a bio major. So I'm gonna go in 2003, the human genome. They sequenced 99% of the human genome. Huge from a medical standpoint, so we can actually do gene therapy and actually help cure some diseases that are out there. And since 2003, which is really not that long ago.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, so a little nerdy, but
I'm gonna stick with my music theme.
Okay.
The way to listen to 50 Cent back in 2003, you had a new opportunity because in 2003 was when Apple launched iTunes.
Oh, that was one of mine. I had that one. Oh.
Yes. So in 2003.
Okay, crossing it out now. Boom. Okay. So even though you had iTunes, you had a big problem in 2003. Remember that blackout that they had throughout, like 50 million people lost power? That was all in 2003. It was in Northeast US and Canada. And I remember just hiding away because everybody was having a party to eat the ice cream in their freezers.
There it is.
That was that blackout. Do you remember where you were?
I do not.
I remember I was working and I was looking out the window and you could just see all the lights go out. It was just everything went out. And then you're on your phone. You're like, the phone doesn't work. Nothing works. The panic was unbelievable. You had no idea what was happening.
That's crazy.
It was a really strange time. I mean, if you imagine if we lost power.
I know. So what was exactly going on then?
I think there was a transformer that blew or something.
Wow.
And so everybody lost power. And it was like, is this a terrorist attack? What is this? Ray's telling me it was the grid. Our producer extraordinaire is saying it was the grid that went down. But very, very scary. And then, like I said, it turned into a giant ice cream party and, barbecue all the steak in your freezer.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'll jump in there. So people have, debates. Who's the best basketball player? Some would say that arguably the best basketball player retired in the year 2003 when Michael Jordan retired in 2003.
Another one of mine. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to go with the fact that LinkedIn was launched. So not only did we have iTunes, but we had LinkedIn coming into play.
But isn't it crazy, like how LinkedIn has taken off and
it's amazing
where it is now for young professionals all throughout. LinkedIn is like, I remember when it first came out, I was just like, oh, I'm not going to LinkedIn.
Oh no, I got a Facebook. I got a MySpace. I got a MySpace. I'm good.
Yeah, but it's really crazy.
It is.
Hunter, I will agree with you. I'm a LeBron guy over Jordan. Hunter said LeBron's the GOAT. I totally take that as well. I think Jordan had a lot of help in his championships.
Okay.
I'll let you go because I want the last one.
Oh, you're gonna let me go? Okay.
Yeah. This is year 5.
I'm 5. That was the last year the Concorde jet flew, which seems kind of like, wow, I'd love to have that Concorde jet. I'd love to be in England in 3 hours. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
But the Concorde jet, that was last year of the Concorde jet.
Huh.
Yeah.
You see, like I wouldn't trust it, you know.
It was very safe. They had one really bad accident when like 5 or 6 things happened at once. But but there are plane accidents, right?
It only takes one.
It only takes one, and that's exactly what happened. But the Concorde jet was actually a really, interesting thing. It flew faster than the speed of sound. You'd have the sonic booms and everything, and it was. We can do it. We can do it. I'm holding out for Elon Musk's, vacuum tube next.
There we go.
Yep.
All right, my number 5. In 2003, by a score of 48-21, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers beat the Oakland Raiders in the Super Bowl. And the reason I really went with that is because our guest, Lomas Brown, was on the field for this game. There he is, the left tackle up top there, and a Super Bowl champion. Well, let's welcome our guest, Lomas. He's a guy he's a Miami. He's a Florida boy. Played at University of Florida in 1985. He was the 6th overall pick for the Detroit Lions. And he came here. He was with the Lions for 11 seasons. Then went to a couple of other teams. And now he's back in the Detroit area. He does a lot of radio, some TV stuff as a color analyst, and he has his own foundation. He runs a bunch of camps. Lomas, welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me. Yeah. A lot of things y'all talked about went on there. By the way, I think the Concorde is coming back, so it's plans on that.
I'm hoping.
So
you'll
get your chance.
I'll get my chance.
Yes.
Okay.
So you get the
chance.
Lomas, would you ride on it?
I would try it. Absolutely. I would love to get there. Yeah.
Yeah. Lomas and I are going.
Yeah.
Lomas, you would try that, but you won't go in water that's waist deep.
Oh yeah, I'll try that because it's gonna get me from A to B. That water way, I'm not a big water person, as you know, so I'd rather get up in the air.
All right, so Lomas, with the Remember When, what we like to do is, because everyone sees the finished product of where you are now, what you've accomplished and everything, but no one knows the beginning. So let's go back to the beginning. When you were a kid growing up in Florida, how did you, what were you interested in? Did you always know that football was what you wanted to do?
No, just a real, funny story about that is that, I was in the band. So I played the trombone in the band, and I was in the band middle school and, getting ready to go up to high school. And what happened was, like I said, the first day of high school, went in, signed up for classes. I'm coming out the auditorium. Somebody was like, hey. So I turned around and I didn't know it was the principal. So he called me over to him and he was like, did you sign up for varsity sports? And I was like, no. So he just grabbed me by the arm and took me back in the auditorium and he signed me up for varsity sports. And I'm like, didn't say anything. So I'm like, I'm wondering what that is. It was the last period of the day. And to come to find out the class was football that he signed me up for. So I'm like, man, and I was always the type of person I never liked to let people down. So I went out there and, I went out there. And as they say, the rest was history, just grew to love the game and got pretty good at the game. So, yeah, that's how it started. So his name was Alex Bromere, the late Alex Bromere, man. I thank him. And I thought him every time I seen him after that because, if it wasn't for him, I don't think I would have ever gotten into football. Them guys were crazy out there hitting each other like that.
How good were you at trombone? Did you have a better future in trombone or football?
Well, I didn't know of too many high-paying trombone players out there that were a role model to me. So I didn't think I had much of a future there, So I knew if a fight ever broke out, I'd probably be the biggest trombone player out there. So I know I could take down some band members. I knew that.
That happened at Stanford. That did happen. Big game, 1982.
I can believe it. That's
so
right.
Can you still play the trombone now?
Man, I hadn't tried that thing in so long. And I keep saying that I might, but I don't know. But it's fun to see. It's a great instrument, man. And they kind of correlate instruments and notes and all that with playing football and picking up different things. I didn't know that back then, but I guess it helped me maybe.
So now you made an interesting point here. You didn't play football till 9th grade, correct?
10th grade. Yeah.
Till 10th grade. Okay, so I didn't play football till 9th grade either. So and you had a great career from college, scholarship to college, playing in the NFL, all pro, 7 Pro Bowls, Super Bowl champs. Like, what do you think? Like, do you think, I know this is about that, I'm going to stray a little off topic here. Do you think people put their kids in football too? Because like you were testimony to it. You played in 10th grade and you made it to the league. Do you think people put their kids in too much and put all that pressure on them?
I have a tendency of thinking yes, especially when they get position specific with the kids. That's even, I think that's even doing more damage to the kids than putting them in football too early, because I think every kid should try all different sports. And I think they should be able to see what they're good in. And the only way to me that you find out you're good in something, you have to participate in it. So yes, I do think that some of the parents are getting more and more, especially, and I think it's because, if you go basketball, you got your AAU leagues. Now you got your 7-on-7 leagues for football. So again, you can just kind of see how the sport is straying away more towards the individual and away from the team concept of it.
Right.
And, with these especially with the younger generation.
Okay, so when you started playing in 10th grade, when did you know that you were good? When did you know you were like, wait a second?
I didn't. I'm telling you, JU, I didn't, man. I'm telling you, it was like it kind of happened over time, just from doing. But I'm like you, it didn't, man, because that was the first organized sport I had ever played. Was that when I went to 10th grade in high school, and it was football. So I had never played any other organized sports. Now, we got the Optimist League, the smaller league there, but I was always overweight. It was weight. So I could never make the weight because I was always, bigger. So I couldn't I never played. Yeah, so I never played that. But you're right. It just happened, man. And I just think it happened through repetition more so than it was just one moment that just, made me just realize that things were happening in a good way.
Right. So then, because I know now things have changed, with recruiting and everything. Kids, and I think it's so bad for kids. They don't have that, like I remember coming home, going to the mailbox and seeing a letter in the mail from Penn State, from Michigan State University. It was like, oh, wow, this is exciting. Yeah. Do you remember what your first letter? Who sent you your first letter?
Wow, that's a great question now, the first letter, because I don't even think it was a big time school that I got my first letter from. Honestly, I think it was like one of the small. Yeah, it was Ohio a smaller University. School. I think so. Mine probably was one of the smaller schools in Florida, the state of Florida. I think it might have been FIU or one of those. It was a small Stetson. I think it might have been Stetson. Was the first letter I got, and that was just a small school. So you're right about that. That was just, but I can tell you all my visits where I went. I know I went to Oklahoma. This is the crazy part. I took an official visit to Miami. I'm like, why do I have to take a fit to go down to Coral Gables, from my house? I live in Miami, but that was one of my official visits. Of course, Florida, where I ended up going, Pittsburgh, Ohio State, and Michigan was supposed to be next, but I canceled on them after I left Ohio State because that weekend I was up there, it was like 9 degrees. I was like, oh no, I can't. So I called Bubba Paris and I was like, Bubba, I'm not coming next week, man. He had some choice words for me. But man, I was like, man, how can you play in this type of stuff? So yeah, so it was an experience.
Yeah, definitely. Like I wouldn't have wasted my official on my. You could have just gone there for an unofficial, and they would have treated you the same.
They tricked me, man. Yeah, man, they tricked me. I'm like, how? Yeah, so they tricked me on that one, JU. They got me.
So for the listeners out there that don't understand, you're only allowed 5 official visits, and these official visits they can fly you in, they can fly your family in, pay for your hotel, pay for your room, your meals, everything. That's when they can take care of all that stuff. So I would have gone somewhere else. And so when you went on your official to Florida, did you enjoy? Because Michigan State overall was my worst official visit. Michigan State was my worst.
Okay, now we're getting interesting. What was your best and your worst official visit for both of you? This is really fun.
Yeah. Go ahead, JU, because I'm thinking about that. What was you said? Michigan State was your worst?
Michigan State was my worst. It was. I was because I didn't party in high school. I didn't do all that. So I was thrown into a party scene, and everything like that. It wasn't for me. My best visit was Iowa. Was the funnest visit I had. We had lots of activities, different things, and it was more my scene and my crowd and everything. But my host Stefan Wheeler, I still give him credit. He's my big brother to me up until now. But Michigan State was my worst. Iowa was my best. Wisconsin was my second best, and Pitt was my third best.
See, now Pitt, I think, because I was going to sign with Pitt. So I think Pitt was my best one because I just loved it. I just loved how it was a city inside of a city. I love that about Pittsburgh. Even though it was cold. It was cold there too, but that cold seemed to be different there.
That's why I didn't sign with Pitt, because it was in the city.
Oh, really?
In a college town.
But see, I grew up in Miami. So I grew up in a city, you know what I'm saying? So I was used to that. And I love that. The only reason, like I say, I didn't sign with Pittsburgh was my dad had a heart attack my last game of my senior year. So I wanted to stay, I knew I had to stay closer, to the state of Florida, stay closer to home just in case something happened and everything. Right. So that's why it was going to be me and Bill Frelick. We're going to be on the same line. So that I love Pittsburgh and stuff. And I have to say Ohio State because it was so darn cold there. My goodness, man. You couldn't socialize. How can you socialize in 9-degree weather? It was just like, yeah. So, no, it wasn't good. It wasn't good at all.
So, all right. So then you go through all that. What made you choose? What was the deciding factor for choosing University of Florida?
Well, for me, again, I had started running with the wrong group of guys, and stuff. And I knew I needed to get out of Miami. I had just, it was like 2 weeks and I didn't even recognize who I was. I was doing things I shouldn't have been doing and hanging out with guys I shouldn't have been hanging out with. So I knew if I didn't separate myself and get out of Miami, because Miami, man, it's just what you hear from. It's fast paced. It's all night long. It's South Beach. It's, it's all this stuff. And, so I had to go somewhere. So Florida was 5 hours away. So I knew the guys I was hanging with, they just can't pop up on you, So it was just better for me just to get out of that atmosphere.
I think we might have a frozen.
Yeah. But I totally understand with that, the whole atmosphere and everything like that. For me, it was a different atmosphere. I had to get away from home as well. So, yeah.
I do have to interrupt here and say something, guys. I am really, really impressed that at 17, 18, you guys are recognizing that, that this is not a good atmosphere for me. Because that's pretty young to be saying, hey, I recognize this about me and this is where I'm going to go and this is where I will do better.
Yeah, so yeah, that's a great question. Lomas,
Yeah.
like what did you like,
What,
what got you
what,
to recognize that?
I mean, well, for me, and I missed part of the question, but for me, it was getting out the environment. I mean, Deb, this was my way. Once I got the scholarship offer, then that was going to be something that nobody had did before. It was even go to
Right.
college on my side. So this was a way out for me, and Miami, yeah, everybody look at Miami now, the glitz and the glamour, but I'm telling you, it's parts of Miami, man, that I tell you, you go in, you like, whoa, where am I? And this
Hmm.
poverty down there, so it's a lot of that down there. So as a young kid, you trying to get your family out of that. And like I say, football down in Florida, I'm telling you, man, it was so huge growing up down there. Football, it's like religion down there, man. So it was big. So it just offered me the opportunity to go to college and find a way to get out of there.
Yeah, I have some teammates and stuff that going down to Miami. They say stay away, don't go to Pork and Beans, don't go to Little
Yeah.
Haiti, all those spots.
Yes, absolutely.
But the question that I have for you is, so when you were in high school playing football, you were just doing it for something to do. You said you didn't want to let people down, and then you're like, okay, I can be the first in my family to go to college. I can do this. And then so you get that. You go to college, you walk in the locker room at the University of Florida. You walk in there, you go to your first, like, what is it? Is it a OMG moment? Is it like, wow, what's happening?
Yeah. So even walking on that campus, just going on that campus, that was an OMG moment. And I'm telling you, man, back in high school when I was there, it wasn't popular to see guys with beards. You know what I'm saying? I don't
Right.
think I think it might have been one, maybe two guys in the whole school. And I went to a big high school that had a beard. So when I got up to Florida and I'm seeing all these guys with beards, I'm like, oh my goodness, these like grown men. You know what I'm saying? So that was my oh my goodness moment. It's like grown men here that I'm getting ready to get in bed with, or not, get to become teammates with. So
Right.
that was and I went there early. I didn't finish out my last year of high school because I already had my credits built where I could go to Florida. So I left in January of my senior year and went to Florida, and I was there. So I was actually there at 16. I turned 17 that March.
Wow.
Down there at Florida.
Wow.
So, yeah. So it was like I say, man, seeing them guys with beards, I was like, oh,
I'm so
goodness.
impressed. So you're 16, 17 and you're coming into college.
Yeah, it was,
Wow.
but it was eye opening. Like JU said, that was a wild moment. It really was.
You literally had to have your parents sign with you on the letter of intent because you were a minor.
Well, can I say this? This would Deb always remind me of that because I told him my dad refused. He was a University of Miami fan. He was a Howard Snellenberger guy. He couldn't see past Howard Snellenberger. So when I didn't sign with the University of Miami, my dad refused to sign my University of Florida contract. And so it's only my mom's signature on there. And Deb, you were saying something that couldn't have been, or that really wasn't valid, or back then, or something like
possibly
that.
Not. Possibly not. But
but Dad was like, no.
But you know what?
No.
I'm not messing with the way it turned out. And I'm sure they were like, yeah, we got this guy. I'm good.
So yeah, that's great. So it didn't take you long to get, adjusted, because you went in there, you started 34 games at the University of Florida. And one of the biggest things, and I don't think people understand this, you were voted captain, and it's a lot different when someone's voted captain by the coaches. That's great. But when you're voted captain by your teammates, that means so much more. I was voted captain by my teammates. You were voted captain by your teammates. And like, tell me, what was that moment like for you when they were like, hey, Lomas, you're a captain? Like, what was that moment like for you? And, you're a guy coming in here. You came in at age 16, 17, and you're a boy among men. and they look to you as a leader. What was that moment like?
Yeah, I mean, and the only thing I would really try to do is just try to lead by example. I wasn't really a rah-rah type of guy. I would say some stuff off the cuff now, but I wasn't that rah-rah guy all the time. But, I always tried to lead by example. I thought that was the best way. And those were kind of the guys that I followed too, whether they knew it or not. So that's why I always knew that regardless of what you're doing, somebody's always watching. So if you're going to do something, especially, and that's what I tell my son or tell my kids, if you're going to do something, do it at the best of your ability.
Right.
Because you don't know who's watching you. You just don't know. So that's what I just tried to do. And that's how, that's the way I tried to play the game. And that's the way, I continued throughout my career in the NFL.
So, so that's a great segue. Speaking of the NFL, so now you go, I'm not going to Ohio State because it snows and it's cold. All right. So then in 1985, all right, you're going through and you sign with an agent. What's your agent telling you? Like, where does he tell you?
Man, look, Detroit was never on the radar. I don't know where. I'm telling you, I didn't hear from Detroit until 2 picks before they picked me. And they told me, they said, if Chris Dolman go to the Minnesota Vikings and Dwayne Bickett go to the Indianapolis Colts, because those were 2 linebackers that they wanted. They wanted linebackers. They said, if they go, then we're going to draft you. And I'm like, what in the world? I'm like, where did Detroit come from? I'm like, never, no workouts, no scouts. I mean, nothing. The agent never said, because I could say it was Philly, it was Cleveland, it was a couple other teams, but never Detroit. And then lo and behold, those 2 guys get picked, and the head coach, Darryl Rogers, the late Darryl Rogers, calls back and said that you're a Detroit Lion. And it was that awkward silence on the phone. And he was like,
you didn't have the hat and the whole bit?
No, I was at home, Deb. I was in Miami, and I surely, and believe me, I wouldn't have had the Detroit hat because I wouldn't have known to have a Detroit hat because that just came out the blue. But after that awkward silence, he was like, well, aren't you glad to be a Detroit Lion? And I was like, oh, yeah, I am. I had to snap into it, but I was in shock, and the only thing I knew about Detroit was it was cold. Back then, it was the murder capital, and they made cars. Those were the 3 facts I knew about Detroit back then.
So, but that is really crazy because for Lions fans listening, all right, let me just give you a little like a peek behind the curtain. Lomas coming to Detroit shook up the NFL draft because the Lions had 2 other people in mind that they wanted. So they shook up the draft when they decided, hey, because those 2 people didn't work out for them. And then they came to, you're the
right.
You were the first, at least, you were the first offensive player on their draft board. Because all these teams have these draft boards. So, so then you're like, man, okay, I didn't go to Ohio State because it was cold. Now I'm going to Detroit. Did you even know they played? Did you know they played in the Dome?
Did I know that? Really? The only thing I really knew about Detroit, they played on Thanksgiving. So I did know they played in the Dome. Because I knew they played on Thanksgiving Day game. I mean, that was probably like the only game you would really, really see the Lions, at least that I remember growing up in Miami.
Right.
I'm a golf fan. No, go ahead.
So then you come in and you were a young rookie.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Yeah. And there's a great story about when you got off the plane.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've heard the story, but it is so good.
No, it was just like, like Deb saying, I was the 6th pick in the whole draft. So, again, so the next day you had to be up there like 2 days later. So they flew me in. So I'm in my suit, I'm looking good, JU. I'm matching and everything. So I go down the baggage claim and stuff, and I'm, waiting on my bags, and I see this guy just standing up over there, just kind of looking at me, and he got one arm. And, you know, so finally, you know, he just come over, and this the equipment manager from the Lion, and he introduced himself on Mark Glenn and everything. So he, you know, he got the one arm and stuff. So when my bag come out, like I told Deb and them, I grabbed my bag because the dude only had one arm. So I didn't want to make him grab my bag. So I grabbed my bag and we walk. I'm like, where in the world are we going? And it's cold now. This April in Detroit. I'm from Miami. I only got on the suit and stuff. And we walk. He got a hoopty. He walked me to his car. He came and picked me up in a hoopty. And JU, I'm talking about the bottom rusted out. So we got to drive from the airport all the way to the Pontiac Silverdome in a hoopty. I'm freezing. And I'm thinking to myself, I can't believe this the organization that I'm going to. It was just mind-boggling. Me and that same guy, we friends today. He's one of my best friends, man. Stuff, Mark Glenn. But man, they treated me bad as the sixth pick in the whole draft. I felt.
Usually,
I want to know, was that a lime green suit?
No, it wasn't. I don't know why Larry keeps saying that. I'm gonna find a picture of it, Deb. You're gonna be like, oh, it's more on the olive side. I would say more olive green.
Was it the green in the one in Remember When here? Was it that green?
No, not that green. Oh no, I couldn't have got away with that. That's what Larry thinks it is, but it was more olive.
Shout out to let everybody know we have a sister podcast called Sports Law that Lomas and I do, and Larry Lee was on there, and he was talking about Lomas in his lime green suit.
Yes. So I would correct them and say olive green. Thank you.
Olive green. Okay.
Olive. Yes.
Still not warm enough for Detroit weather.
No, not at all, Deb.
That's funny. So then you come in, and now what? You're in the NFL. Like, when does it hit you that you're in the NFL?
Oh, it hits you the first day you get there. When like I told you in college, when I'm seeing guys with beards, you're thinking they're grown men. Well, when you go to the NFL, they are grown men. These are guys with families. These are guys with kids. You know what I'm saying? These are guys that are trying to, you know, that's their livelihood. So you quickly know that it goes from a game to a business, just like that. Overnight, it becomes a bit. Now it's a little different nowadays. You know, it's probably a business straight up out of high school. Heck, going from middle school to high school might be a business. You know what I'm saying? So, but back then you knew going from college to the pros, it was all business, and those guys kind of let you know in a subtle way, you know, that you were on the low end of the totem pole. You know, and when I got to Detroit, how the Silverdome, those Pontiac Silverdome was set up, they had two locker rooms, the visitors' locker room. So the veterans would be in our home locker room. The rookies, they would make us go in our locker rooms were the visitors' locker room. So think about that. You're a young guy trying to learn the NFL, and you isolate it off from the rest of the guys. You know what I'm saying? It was just like, it was, you know, now they don't do that because they found that that's counterproductive. You know, why would you isolate the young guys? You need these young guys to learn and come up to speed. So it was different back then.
What was the biggest transition for you? The
speed of the game. Oh my God. You see how fast that answer came out? Man, look, when you run in wind sprints, and the kicker is outrunning you. You trying to catch the kicker. You're like, wait a minute, kickers run fast. Everybody in the NFL is fast.
Right.
I don't care what position you play. Everybody is fast. The speed of the game is just unbelievable. TV doesn't even really give it justice. You know, you have to watch a game on the sideline or up in the stands. But if you watch the game on the sideline, man, you would see the speed of that game. And that's the thing to me that I had to adjust to right away, was the speed of the NFL game.
Right, exactly. So that is so then you come in the game. So what people don't realize is, you know, they see all this stuff on TV. Let's go behind the scenes. Let's pull the curtains a little bit. Did you have to do a rookie dinner? Did you have to do a rookie skit?
Yes, yes. I had to sing the OJs. I sung their song, one of the OJ songs. So I had to get up and sing in front of the team. Oh my God, I was so nervous about that because man, they let you know. And then of course they have what they'll do is one of the nights they penny you in the rooms. We used to stay in dorm rooms at Oakland University. And they would come and they would penny you in the room. Some kind of way they could take a penny and stick it on the outside. Yeah, and you can't get out your room. And they would have the fire hydrant and they would just let it loose under the door. So you in your room trapped and they got the fire extinguisher up under there just blowing smoke or fire or whatever comes out of that stuff in your room and stuff. So yeah, it was that, and then of course you had to get haze, you had to carry the veteran stuff, you had to get taped to the pole, you know, you had to bring donuts, you know, every Friday you had to have breakfast and donuts there with orange juice and milk. It's got the ratio of chocolate donuts, the cream filled, the this and that. I'm telling you, man, you had to remember everybody's McDonald's breakfast order. Man, if you got that wrong, oh my goodness, you didn't want to get that wrong. So it was. You had a job as a rookie. You had another job.
Oh yeah, I remember mine. You know, specifically, you know, especially for away games, I had to go and in the running backs room there, I had to go. Thomas Jones, he wanted 40 hot wings from KFC. Leon Washington wanted Chick-fil-A. Tony Richardson was a clean eater. He was vegan. So that time vegans like new. So I had to figure out where to get food. I almost missed the bus one time to the airport because I'm running around trying to get these vets their foods.
Yeah. Yes, man. That's some of the stuff. But you know what? That stuff like that, and I know they kind of a lot of that stuff now. But I'm telling you, man, it's kind of your rite of passage.
Exactly.
You know, as a young guy, you got to pay your dues, man. It's just part of it. You can pay your dues. I'm in a fraternity, and it's the same way if you go in a fraternity, man, you have to pay your dues. Now, they get a little outlandish sometimes, but I mean, and that's what, you know, I think that's some of the stuff that I think they should continue to let them do, but, you know, they taking that out pretty much.
Definitely. So then now you're in the NFL. Couple years later, they draft a running back from Oklahoma State named Barry Sanders. This guy turned out to be, you know, an amazing running back. And in the peak of his career, you were the one paving the way for him.
Yeah.
How was it blocking for Barry? Because you had to be patient. You couldn't block like a normal back.
Yeah, I mean, the thing you learned to do was that the old adage when they used to say block till you hear the whistle, you learn how to do that when you played with Barry. You just had to stay on your blocks, whether you were front side or back side, you knew to stay on your blocks. And, you know, I credit him with, you know, prolonging my career because it taught me great habits. You know what I'm saying? As a lineman, a lot of times you'll relax on the backside, you know, but with Barry, man, you know, like I say, the play could be designed to go front side and he'll cut it all the way back. Man, you don't know where B is going to be at. So you never wanted to be that guy. At least I didn't ever want to be that guy to give up that tackle on Barry when he could have possibly broke it all the way. So it just made us stay on our blocks longer. And the other thing it did was, it was easy, and my best friend, Kevin Glover, we were always one of the first ones to make sure we got to the ball and got to Barry because we knew what they used to do to people under the piles. You know what they do to you under the pile.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, man. So we wanted to make sure we got to that pile to get them off of B so they couldn't do their little dirty business. You know, JU.
So how was it? So when Barry first started doing his thing, because that's something different now. You were used to, how was it in the lineman room? Because I know linemen, you know, you guys are cliquey, you guys are do the thing. And so how was it in the lineman room? Like,
I mean, B's humble. B, yeah, it was like that. But see, he was such a good person you ain't mind doing that. You know what I'm saying? You didn't mind going and doing whatever you had to do to make sure this guy was successful because he was a good dude. I tell everybody, man, I blocked for him for 7 of his 10 years. And
Right.
the one thing's very known to do is take losses, right? You
Yeah.
know, they say he's the same runner, but he takes losses. Barry I never once seen him get up and point his finger at the offensive lineman and say, you know, you did this or that was your fault. Never once in 7 years. And he had plenty of opportunities to do that, plenty of opportunities. But, you know, and that's just the type. And then he was just a generous person, man. He showered us with gifts and, you know, just took care of us and everything.
See, so that's what I want to get into next. So, like, with people watching, what happens usually? The linemen get, like, people say, "Oh, linemen don't get the glory, they don't get the shine, and everything like that." I wouldn't want it either if I was a lineman because they get gifts. They get taken care of by the quarterback, by the running backs, you know, everything. So, what was the best gift that you got as a lineman? And
I mean, the Rolex, hands down. Rolex, Barry's first year, he gave all us starters presidential Rolexes. And then he gave every other offensive lineman Rolexes too. So everybody got one and stuff, but he just inscribed on the ones he gave to us, thanks for a great 89 season, Barry Sanders, on the back of it and stuff. But I mean, he did first class tickets anywhere in the world that you wanted to go. He gave us big screen TVs, and that's when big screens, you know, were big screens, and they were expensive, you know, for those and stuff back then. And so, you know, jewelry, it was just stuff. You know, one year we told him we didn't want him to give us nothing. We got him something. You know what I'm saying? Because, again, man, it was just how hard he worked out there on the field and stuff. And that's the other thing we used to always say, as hard as he worked for us, he shouldn't have to get up off the ground by himself. It should always be one of us there to help him get off the ground. So, you know, it was just great, the honor to play with him. That's why, you know, he's, like I say, the reason why I have my success is because of him, directly because of him.
That's awesome.
Us. It's all about the team.
Exactly.
Yes.
That is great. So you go to, you know, you're in Detroit. Your time in Detroit end. How did your time in Detroit end? How was that?
I mean, you know, it wasn't. It really wasn't good. It really wasn't, and you know, it was a lot of bad information. And it was a little self-inflicted wounds on my own too. Like I say, I wasn't always, you know, I was a little braggadocious, you know, guaranteeing wins and all that. And
you were a Florida boy. You were a Florida boy.
Hey, you know, so it didn't win because I didn't want to leave. I didn't want to leave the Lions when I left. You know, I wanted to stay here. I wanted to play my first 11 years were here. You know, I built the home. My family was here. You know, my foundation, just everything was here in Michigan. So change is hard, but that was the best thing that happened to me, man, because I think about all the other teams I went to, all the other cities I got a chance to live in, all the other experiences I got a chance to do, all the other organizations. That's what I kind of wish, like a Barry or Calvin Johnson. You know, those guys, I wish they could have really experienced going to another organization just to see how it's run, just to see how it's different, you know, and stuff. I mean, look at Matthew Stafford, you know what I'm saying? You know, just getting those opportunities to go somewhere different. I think that was one of the best things that happened to me, you know, even though I didn't want to leave here. And like I said, I didn't leave under good circumstances. And I'll tell you, the reason why it wasn't good circumstances was because, you know, the guy, they just didn't want to give me the money, but they turned around and gave Ray Roberts, who was the guy they replaced me with, they gave him the same money I was asking for. They gave him the same money. I might have got maybe $500,000, maybe $1 million more out in Arizona, but it was basically, they could have gave me that money they gave him. So, you know, that was kind of a slap in the face and let you know that they really didn't want to keep you there. And then also they tried to use the excuse where we got a left-handed quarterback, so the left tackle position isn't as important for us as it would be another team, because that's not his blind side. I told him, hell, it don't matter whether the quarterback don't see it or see it. That hit hurts either way.
Exactly.
Whether he see it or don't see it, it hurts either way. So it didn't make no sense to me, and stuff. So, and like I say, that was the best thing that happened, because I got a chance to play in 2 Super Bowls and win one.
Yeah, exactly. So then you leave there, you go to Arizona. That you play there for a couple years, then you go to Cleveland. I call Cleveland the armpit of America.
Cleveland's a lovely place. We'll take you there.
Well, you won't get no Cleveland listeners now after that.
No, Cleveland is a lovely place, and we'll definitely do a field trip to Cleveland.
Yes, there you go.
Yep, we'll do a Remember When Sports Law
for
remote
Cleveland
podcast in Cleveland.
But I have to say, the year I was there in '99, man, I'm telling you, man, I didn't see a whole bunch of sunny days there. It was like, it's more cloudy there than it is in Detroit. I was like, wow, man. So yeah, you kind of right, about Cleveland from that standpoint.
They get that lake effect snow stuff and all that.
Yes,
so it's actually colder and not as nice weather-wise as Detroit.
And then you go to I, being a Buffalo Bills guy, you go to New Jersey. You play for the New Jersey Giants, aka the New York Giants.
Yes.
How was that experience?
Man, when you winning in New York, OMG, it ain't no better place in the world to be, man. And we won. We went to the Super Bowl, man. We could go anywhere in New York, get whatever we wanted. It was places that were underground places I discovered. Oh my God, man, it was something else, man.
You get into the best restaurants.
Oh, man, without easily clubs, everything, man. It was awesome. Like I say, because we were winning. And that's hard, to capture New York like that. Especially like I say, a city like New York. But the Giants, man, they are the number 1 football team in New York. Let's make no mistakes about that.
Look, calm down. There's the Buffalo Bills. There's the Buffalo Bills.
Come on, man. Buffalo Bills. In their segment, you're right. They dominate, man. In New York, it's all Giants, man. I'm saying the Jets don't stand a chance, and they there.
I get it. I played for the Jets. I remember when we played the Giants. It was our home game, and there were more Giants fans. And we were called the little brothers of. It was Mets, Jets, and Nets. All the little brothers.
You're right. You sure right about that. Yeah, that was fun.
You were there in 2001 too.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of the bittersweet. Yeah.
So let's talk about that. How was that?
It was tragic, man. It really was. And like the crazy thing is, we played Monday night. We played in Denver on Monday night. We lost that game, so we flew in after that game, and we landed about 6-something at the Newark airport. And they, like I say, they estimate that the hijackers were there at that time. So again, I stayed in Hackensack, which is right across the river from Manhattan in the city. So I stayed in the hotel that whole year. I get to the room, we hang out for a little while. I happen to turn the TV on, and they're talking about that this plane had run into the building back then. They didn't know what was going on. They said maybe it's a commuter jet. We don't know. And I'm like, wow. So I opened my curtains, and lo and behold, I could kind of see a little of the smoke from the buildings, because you could see it. Like I say, the Twin Towers, you could see that clearly from over there. So I go in the bathroom, and by the time I come out the bathroom, the second plane had hit. And that's when they knew it was a terrorist thing going on. So I opened my curtain. I just watched, and I stayed there and watched until the building crumbled. And once it crumbled, you couldn't see nothing. Once the first building crumbled, the skyline was just like gone. You couldn't see anything. It was like it was nothing there anymore and everything. And you guys know, man, from that point on, it was just like, it was just bad. It was just bad. And I tell everybody, the one thing I remember about that whole thing was the smell. It was the worst smell I've ever smelt in my life. And of course it was, flesh and just all the stuff that was burning, but it was horrible. It was just a horrible smell. It was a tragic time, but the teams, they rallied. They really did, JU. The Jets, the Giants, we all came together. All the baseball teams, all of them came together. We hosted some of the kids or some of the people that died in the towers, so it was great to see the teams hosted. And the last thing on that, I always tell people, man, when we didn't play that week afterwards, we played the following week in Kansas City. Man, those people in Kansas City, you would have thought we were at our home game. They gave us the biggest standing ovation that, man, I have ever seen on the road for a visiting team. And it was just touching, man. So how everybody came together, which is what we need to do nowadays.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. Sports really helped bring everything back.
Mm-hmm.
I was with auto racing at the time. Lomas, we've talked about this, but sports were huge.
Yeah.
As we all healed a bit, although, it certainly changed the world.
Yeah.
Yep. Definitely. So let's fast forward to happier times.
Yes.
Then after you leave New York, you go to Tampa Bay. And then you go to, I got to ask, some people have different questions and everything like that. Like some people have different opinions on it. How did you like playing for Coach Gruden?
I love playing for Coach Gruden. I think the biggest thing for me was that, I was older than him. So I was a year older than Coach Gruden. So I kind of knew, where he was coming from with a lot of things where a lot of those young guys, they didn't. Mm-hmm. So I think that's what helped me with him. And we kind of developed a bond. We really did, and stuff. We would always high five each other every day going out to practice. We would make sure we find each other and high five each other every day. And, it was just the respect that he gave me. Because you think about it, JU, I started 17 out of 18 years. The only year I didn't start in the NFL was my last year. And part of the reason I didn't start, I didn't sign with Tampa till like 2 days before they went to training camp. So, and I wasn't in the best of shape. I admit that. And, I had to learn the playbook. So I was behind in everything. And I'm telling you, that was the hardest training camp hardest training camp I ever went through in my 18th year. So, so I didn't start that. So Coach Gruden could have easily after the first game of the season, he could have easily deactivated me for the games. You know what I'm saying? I could have been, deactivated on game days. Nope. Man, he activated me every game and stuff. And the only thing I would do was field goal protection and everything. So, it was a testimony. Like I say, that spot could have been brought up by a guy that could have helped the team and everything. But they felt that what I was doing, in practice and, off the field was enough to help these guys. And, that's why I always thanked him, and looked at him in a different light than probably a lot of other people do.
Right. Yeah. So, that really goes to, put a bow on your career. You go in there your last year. Did you know going into that was going to be your last year?
Not really. No, because I didn't retire. I didn't officially put my papers in until probably about 3 or 4 years after that. And, Pittsburgh called me that next year. Coach Cowher wanted me to come over there and play with the Steelers. But at that point, like I say, man, I didn't put in the work during the all season to be ready to go step into no NFL game. I kind of knew that.
See, and that's where a lot of people lose it there, because when I was done, my 5th year, when I was done in Buffalo, I was the first summer I had to relax and everything. I was a free agent. I went to my buddy's golf course. I drank a lot of beer. I played a lot of golf, ate a lot of cheeseburgers and hot dogs. And I remember being at the golf course. I get a phone call from Ted Thompson, the Green Bay Packers, 2 days before camp. Hey, we want to bring you in. I had not worked out all summer, and as a professional athlete, what your body can do and can't do. And you would be cheating the game if you decided to go out there. So some people from outside don't realize, and they're like, "Oh, I would not have quit. I wouldn't have done it." It's like, you know your body and everything. So that's, big on you, for knowing that fact, of when you were, done. And, that says a lot. So then you go, you guys playing the Super Bowl, you guys go out there playing the Super Bowl. Like, what is that? This is your second Super Bowl now. So now you kind of have it down packed. You understand the ticket requests, you understand the media day, you understand everything. What was the emotion going into your second Super Bowl, and what was it like throughout the game and winning it?
Yeah, it was like a lot calmer the second one than going through the first one. Again, it was just you knew what to expect. You just knew what to expect. You knew what that ride from the hotel to the stadium was going to be like on Sunday. You just knew how long that halftime was going to be. You knew how long the pregame was going to be. You just knew the consequences. I knew that if you lose this game, it's going to be like the worst feeling that you ever felt in your professional career. Because I had went through that 2 years earlier with the Giants when we lost to the Ravens and everything. So, so you knew this, so you kind of braced for things. You kind of knew what to expect. But, again, we knew by the third quarter, we knew we were confident going into the game because Coach Gruden had just coached them 2 years earlier. And
right.
He knew, and they were still running his offense. So it was just like, we knew everything. That guy right there, John Lynch, on the film on there, like he said, he got the most famous sound back from that Super Bowl. He was like, it was just like how we practiced it, because it was. I mean, Coach Gruden was telling us what they was going to do. If Rich Gannon come up and do like this, they're going to run this play. We knew. So we were prepared. So it was a lot less nerve-wracking than that first Super Bowl.
That's great. And, and doing it for him, especially the way that he left Oakland and, going to coach in Tampa, that's really cool. And it's a great way to cap your career off. So after you're done playing, you do what most athletes do. You get into broadcasting. How did that come about? And then you do your foundation. So tell us a little bit of broadcasting, your foundation, and, the camps and stuff that you do in the local Detroit area.
Yeah, well, I have a great agent, and he's great because he's still with me. His name is Todd France, and he got
Todd.
me. Yeah, Todd got me the opportunity. I had to do an audition. I didn't know I was auditioning, but I had to do an audition for it, and ESPN liked what I brought to the table, and I was fortunate, man. I was able to go to ESPN, and I was on what's now First Take. I did that, but when I first started on the show, it was called Cold Pizza. Yep, I had to do the car wash. So you had to do Sports Centers, and you had to do NFL Live, and all the shows that basically they have now. Numbers Don't Lie, and all the shows. I did mostly all those shows. I was there for 8 years as an NFL analyst, so I enjoyed it. And it gave me an opportunity to meet a lot of people. And the one thing it did for me was it kept my name out in the public, being an offensive lineman. That's
right.
What kept me from just dying. Was that those 8 years at ESPN, the exposure I got from there. And then that just kind of led into, with my foundation, JU, I've had that since 91, 92. I had the foundation. I used to do foundation dinners when I was with the Lions, where I would bring in big sports stars, Isaiah Thomas, Bob Probert, Steve Eiserman. A lot of those guys, I would bring them in, and we would have a big black tie dinner, at the stadium to raise money. I've been doing this with my foundation and charitable things since I pretty much got to Detroit, because I knew being an offensive lineman, if I wanted to stand out, for me, I knew the way for me to stand out would be in the community. So that's why I kind of threw myself in there. And that's what happened. My foundation now, this is 2022. We're just advancing with our camps that we're doing. We're trying to affect kids' lives. And we know we need to do that these days, with a lot of things going on. We just got to pour our resources into our kids. So that's what my foundation's been doing. That's what we're going to continue to do. It's geared towards kids, and it's geared towards the family of kids, to try to help them, just give them some of the resources that they need to try to help nurture their child.
That is great. And, like I said, you a lot of people, a lot of athletes, come out from, troubled backgrounds or whatnot, and they get to the platform that you got to, being, first team All-Pro, 2-time second team All-Pro, 7-time Pro Bowler, Super Bowl champion, all rookie team, all SEC, University of Florida Athletic Hall of Famer. And they just take that stuff and they, just go with it on their own. But you're giving back to the community. And that's something, I respect a lot about you. And that's what Deb, hit on the head, for all the good things that you did on the field, you're a better dude off the field. And, as a former athlete, I appreciate you putting athletes in that light that you do.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. I think the more we could do, man, the more we could shout out guys for doing the right things to the wrong things. I think it would help. It really would. So I appreciate platforms that help give us an opportunity to tell people what we're doing, for people to get involved and everything. So yeah, it's great. It's great.
Right.
Perfect.
And I'm just going to say Lomas Brown Jr. Foundation, and you make a difference in kids' lives. That's what it's about. You're making a difference.
Yeah,
definitely. Thanks, Lo, for joining us. We could go another hour with you, but our producer Ray will be kicking our butts.
Yeah.
You know how Ray is.
Yeah, oh
He's
yeah,
always doing that.
Yeah. He's shaking his head. I know.
Yep.
All right. Yeah,
thanks for joining us.
This is great, man. Yeah, I love the concept. So this is great. Keep it going.
Yeah, definitely.
Yep.
That was Lomas Brown, former Detroit Lion, former NFL player, all-around good guy. Thank you for joining us, Lo. Remember When podcast is powered by Taguava Coffee. Go to taguava.com. Use promo code RememberWhen to get 10% at checkout. We will see you guys.
Free shipping.
And free shipping. We will see you guys next week on the Remember When podcast.